That's right, Alberto is coming ashore near Panama City, Florida. I'll have the latest information on that storm and talk about the rain that's moving into Hampton Roads. It's been a slow go, working its way from south to north, but we have seen that rain overspreading the south side. It's working its way up the peninsula now. We had a few heavier downpours on the leading edge of this rain. Here's the 6-hour loop, and you can just see how it's working its way off towards the north. So if you've been dry this afternoon, you're going to get wet later this evening as that moisture continues to stream in. Some more moderate showers along the Albemarle Sound right now and south of there through parts of Washington County, Turrell County, Dare County, even some more moderate rain over towards Roanoke Island, Manio picking up some of that rain, extends over towards Nags Head and up towards Kill Devil Hills. Mainly more just some light to moderate showers across the south side, and it breaks up a little bit more across the peninsula and the middle peninsula. But again, that'll continue to stream off towards the north as some of that tropical moisture streams up the eastern seaboard. And here is Alberto again coming ashore right here close to Panama City, Florida. Again, we'll have a little bit more on that in just a moment, but you can see just on the east side of it, that steady stream of moisture, and we are going to be on the east side of it for several days. So grab those rubber boots because you will need them as we really have a chance for some showers or maybe a few isolated thunderstorms over the next 7 days. Through the rest of the evening, that moisture continues to stream northward. I think Futurecast is underdoing it just a little bit. The general idea is really just some of these off and on showers, some steadier and heavier downpours at times during the overnight and really through the day tomorrow as well, with temperatures back up into the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. There will be some breaks from time to time, but again, we're just looking at chances for showers and thunderstorms right through tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Same thing into Wednesday. Again, there might be a few breaks from time to time, but temperatures climbing into the low to mid 80s. And once again, Wednesday afternoon, chance for some of those isolated showers or thunderstorms. So here's the latest on subtropical storm Alberto, again continuing to spin right here. This is the visible satellite. You can see just coming on shore right now with winds of 50 miles per hour, but gusts up to 70. Storm is moving slowly to the north at 8 miles per hour, and the remnants of the storm will continue to move up the Mississippi River Valley and eventually up into Canada by Friday. But if you were watching last week, we mentioned how a lot of times with these subtropical systems, the heaviest of the rain is on the north and east side of it. So we are on the east side of that track, and that's why we'll be socked in with some of these showers for the next several days. You can see that we started the day with some sunshine, but those clouds quickly started to fill in, and around midday we started to see the rain move in, and we had some of those heavier downpours. And we are looking at the cloudy skies and the rain across Hampton Roads right now. Temperature coming in at 74 degrees, winds out of the south-southwest at 14 miles per hour. Everybody pretty much in the 70s with a few 60s up across the eastern shore. So temperatures pretty much holding steady tonight in the mid-70s. We'll look for those occasional showers, some heavier downpours. Overnight lows down to 70 degrees and mostly cloudy. Occasional showers tomorrow 80, 71 tomorrow night, and 81 on Wednesday. Occasional showers, possibly a thunderstorm, and really look at those chances for rain around 40 to 50% right through the weekend and into early next week. Temperatures do climb up to around 89 on Friday, and they drop back a little bit more into early next week. So again, it's not going to rain everywhere every day over the next 7 days, but certainly a chance for some of those isolated scattered showers and thunderstorms right through early next week.